We talk a lot about habits to create success in real estate. However, over the past 5 years or so, I've coached over 3,000 real estate agents. There's habits that are actually doing us harm. There's habits that actually keep us from succeeding in real estate sales. And over the past couple of years, I've documented 8 of those habits that keep real estate agents poor. They keep us from achieving the goals that we've set. I'm going to share those with you in today's video. We often find ourselves comparing our results with that of other real estate agents, and that poses 2 big issues for us. Number one, there's a concept I talk about all the time, which is the fact that we can't compare our chapter 1 to their chapter 20. I think the big misconception is you might find a real estate agent that's succeeding doing X, Y, or Z strategy, and then you go and try the same thing that they're doing and not get results, and then say, well, what's the difference? Why are they getting these results and I'm not? Not knowing that they've been doing the thing for 20 years, consistently, day in and day out. And so certainly, if you're going to try that same tactic and you're just getting started, to compare your outcome or your results with someone who's been doing it for a very, very long time, I think sets us up for massive frustration. The second challenge with comparing ourselves to other real estate agents is we don't know to which extent people are fighting for their own why. Their set of standards, their worldviews are probably much different than ours. Consider this: if you compare yourself to somebody that operates from a different set of values than you are, it's probably a dangerous place to land. Why? Because you don't know what someone's willing to sacrifice in order to get what it is that they want. There's a lot of people that are willing to sacrifice the relationships with the people that they love for success. You may not. And to compare yourself with someone like that is very dangerous. You may find yourself competing with people or comparing with people that are willing to cut corners, break the law, do harm to others in order to get money. And you may live a different set of values. And so to compare yourself with these other people that operate from a completely different worldview, I think only puts ourselves in a place of frustration. So what I've always tried to do is compete with myself month in and month out. How do I continue to get better every single month? How do I continue to create a world where I am outperforming my best performances? There's another concept we often talk about, which is win the morning, win the day. And the reality is, and the truth is, that I think a lot of real estate agents really struggle with is not having a morning routine. Waking up and just kind of winging it. Waking up without a plan. Waking up and just reacting to the day. And when we operate that way, it creates massive anxiety, massive stress in our life, because every day is so different that we become overwhelmed and we become very reactive. And here's what we know about the top producers in our industry is that they have a phenomenal morning routine. And I've adopted the exact same thing in my life, that every morning when I wake up, I do the exact same thing day in and day out. And here's the great thing about having that morning ritual, that morning routine. That momentum can carry you for the rest of the day. And that's where we talk about, or that's where we got the saying, win the morning, win the day. And so oftentimes agents that are struggling to succeed in this business often don't have that morning routine. All right, so this is a big one. The need that most real estate agents have for instant gratification is something that we have to really look at, really consider. Because what most agents are doing, this is what I see every single day. They have this bad habit of bouncing from one thing to the next. They try this one tactic, this one strategy for 30 days, And if it doesn't produce results, they try the next shiny object. And they're constantly bouncing from one thing to the next. The same agent is bouncing from one brokerage to the next because there's something in our minds to say, well, it can't be us. It has to be something external. It's the tactic, it's the strategy, it's the brokerage I'm with, it's the coach I'm with, it's the market I'm in. I've seen this go as far as an agent moving from one state to a completely new state because of their lack of stick-to-itness. When we really look at why one succeeds and why one doesn't, none of those external factors actually are the reason why they succeed. What is it? It's character traits. It's a set of standards. It's a set of habits that are done every day, day in and day out, no matter how we feel. And so the thing to consider is, what is your level of commitment? What is your level of stick-to-itness? What is your level of grit? And all of the research goes to support this idea of grit, this idea of our ability to stick with one thing long enough to get a result. And the challenge in our business is most agents don't have a lot of grit. When things get tough, after the excitement quickly leaves after starting the new thing, the new brokerage, the new team, the new tactic, the new strategy, heck, the new market, the new state, if it doesn't go well, rather than looking in the mirror, they try to change the variable. When it comes to goals, we see a massive mistake that I think a lot of real estate agents make when it comes to the habit of setting goals, the habit of chasing goals. And there's a couple things that we see that I think, if you consider, might change everything for you. And that is this. Oftentimes we find ourselves chasing what we want to want. Oftentimes we are chasing things that maybe society has influenced us for us to believe that we should want. A big income, a big house, a fancy car, a fancy watch, whatever external thing you want to throw in there. And for a lot of people, and I experienced this myself, is when we get there, we often find zero fulfillment, zero happiness. And in fact, we fall back into a world where enough is enough. For the agent who would be totally happy making $20,000 a month, but because $1 million sounds sexy, they sacrifice so much to get there just to find out that what I have lost in order to gain this income wasn't worth it. And so oftentimes we find ourselves chasing other people's goals and calling them our own. And then the other problem with the way in which a lot of us in real estate set goals is they're outcome driven. And the problem with that is this, that many times there are things that we simply can't control. And instead of making the action or the behavior the goal, we set these goals that we have no control of, and then at the same exact time get frustrated when we can't accomplish those goals. So rather than set a goal that is based on something we cannot control, try setting goals that are 100% inside of your control. And that being what you chase, that being how you determine how you're doing, how you're performing, based on things that you absolutely are in control of. What's more is, after maybe we start chasing the wrong goal, or we set the wrong goal, or if we've attached our emotions to the wrong goal, we don't track our progress. And the problem with not tracking our progress is twofold. One, we see the agents that have massive ambition in the beginning of the year. Trust me, there's no lack of ambition in this business. That's why most of us got in this business, was to generate a big life, a great income, because the work in which we do in real estate sales is very, very difficult. And if you're not making a great income, one can make the argument, it's just simply not worth it. You could go do something else. But the problem is when we don't track our progress, when we're not tracking what it is that we're doing every day, we often find ourselves at the end of the year not even coming close to the goal that we had set, and most importantly, not understanding why. Being totally what someone would say caught off guard as to how did I get here. It's what we see a lot of times with people who gain a lot of weight. They wake up in 20 years and say, how did I get here? And that's a result of a lack of the willingness to step on the scale and face reality. And for me, tracking has everything to do with us facing reality on a daily basis. Because let's face it, the numbers don't care about our feelings. The numbers don't care about our emotion. You either had 25 conversations today or you didn't. You either set an appointment today or you didn't. You either generated a lead today or you didn't. For a lot of agents that get in the habit of tracking their numbers on a day-to-day basis, find that their performance increases dramatically and they put themselves in a position to play to their best. I've often said that success in real estate sales boils down to the number of daily conversations we have with prospects. How many people are you talking to every single day? And so agents that have a habit of not finding themselves in daily lead generation or having daily conversations oftentimes find themselves coming way short of the goals that they've set. And this entire business is for action takers. And I think the most challenging thing for most people in this business is the ability to consistently take the action necessary, to have the conversations necessary that they need to accomplish the goals that they've set, because we are, of course, independent contractors. And as such, we often find ourselves taking the path of least resistance. We oftentimes find ourselves finding all sorts of things to do that are not productive, that are not income generating activities, like having conversations, like prospecting, like generating leads, like following up with our leads in our pipeline, like meeting with prospects. And oftentimes when we follow a real estate agent around, we see them do everything but those activities. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, if I'm being honest, if I'm tracking the progress, if I'm tracking what I'm doing every day, and I'm journaling at the end of the day, did I do things today that could lead me to generating a new sale? Did what I do today lead me to generating an income for my family? And the best question of all, if my family followed me around today, would they be proud of what they saw me do? We already know that left on our own, chances are we're going to take the path of least resistance. The best example of that is this. If we were to do 10 push-ups by ourselves with no one watching versus doing those same 10 push-ups with the world watching, we know that those 10 push-ups, we would perform those at a much, much higher level when we know other people are watching, when there's a level of accountability that is in front of us that we don't have when we're by ourselves. And this is the same thing that most real estate agents live in. It's a world or an environment that they live in where they have no visibility, where they have no accountability. Oftentimes they're by themselves. I've heard many real estate agents over the years say to me that they felt like they were on an island. They felt alone. And that feeling of alone oftentimes doesn't bring the best out in our performance. And so what we know about elite performers have the highest level of accountability. They have the highest level of visibility, because what they have grown to accept and understand is that the more visibility that we put on ourselves, the better we will perform as a result. This one pains me a bit because I see a lot of great people in this business taking advice from those that are threatened by the very actions and behaviors that they're taking because it reflects poorly on them. And I see this all too often, that a great real estate agent will consistently be doing the right things day in and day out and be judged for doing those things. The greatest example of that is the real estate agent who is going into the office every single day and making her prospecting calls. And she's being judged by all of the other real estate agents in her office because they're not making the calls. And they're kind of pointing their fingers, kind of mocking her for doing the right thing. Why? When we take actions towards our goals that others aren't willing to take, that brings out the worst in them. And often they can't handle that reflection that you're willing to risk looking dumb, sounding dumb in front of others in pursuit of your goals that they're not willing to do themselves. And so what they often do is give you advice that is not in your best interest, but it's in their best interest to get their emotional needs met. And I think we have to be very, very cautious of who we're taking our advice from. And we see this all the time in real estate, the Monday quarterback. And if you've never heard that term before, I love it, because it says that oftentimes people that can't play on Sunday, they're not good enough to play on the field, are the same ones that are filled with great advice. And we have to be aware of this in real estate, because the people that often don't succeed to the levels that I believe you want to succeed are the same ones that are filling your head with garbage, filling you with bad advice. And at the same time, the people that are succeeding at the highest level do nothing but encourage you.